Next time you're in a big public square, look around. These things are all deliberately placed to stop vehicle terrorism attacks, and increasingly, they're everywhere in our cities. So, how do they make you feel? Do you even notice them? Do concrete blocks make you feel safer, or do they make you feel paranoid?
It's not nice to think about that a truck could hit you in the main square, and so I try to cover them up.
And if a city were to make them friendlier, how would you feel about that? Vehicle terrorism attacks in cities like New York, Nice, Toronto, London, Stockholm, Oslo, Berlin, Barcelona, and other cities over the past decade means that, like it or not, city governments are now spending millions of dollars in barricading their busiest public places. And even cities that haven't had an attack are doing this, like Copenhagen in Denmark, a city that's known for its architecture and design.
I don't want to live in a city that looks like a militarized zone. I just came up with the idea, let's make a bench, a climbing wall, and then the plants on top of it.
Mess is an urban gardener. The city funded his prototype in Nyhavn, the most touristy canal in the city, after restaurant owners asked him to beautify the concrete barriers. And by and large, Scandinavian cities are using these massive flower pots as the new defense against vehicle terrorism attacks. They're all over the center of Oslo, they're in Uppsala, and they're in Copenhagen.
It's important to have a beautiful town. Copenhagen is an open and inviting city with a high quality of life. And we can't maintain that if we have to close off every single street with huge concrete blocks. We insist on making solutions that actually contribute positively, but we're also trying not to overreact, because this a bit about putting your public in fear is equally damaging. And we try to keep it real.
Back to this question of how it makes you feel.
I think the flower pots are interesting. They look a bit out of place, and therefore they also remind you that they're there for an entirely different purpose than just being flower pots in your windowsill. They're there to protect you. But on the other hand, I acknowledge that it's a step on the way.
His office works on anti-terrorism measures for private sites we can't show you. But he's also in the preliminary design stages for this low, sturdy wall that you could install in public spaces and add on to with benches or garbage cans.
Security is, of course, a primary objective with this whole idea, but we must come up with something that offers more to the civic space than just that, so as not to make it too blatant that we're just putting up a security measure here. I think that we have a certain obligation for as long as they're there, that they can be used for other purposes.
The Nyhavn project has attracted some controversy from critics who say that barriers shouldn't be playful.
It's difficult to talk about because then suddenly, are we just making fun of these concrete barriers? And we're not doing it for fun, we're actually doing it because we take it very seriously, that we want a livable city. So that's why we did it.
Meanwhile, cities like New York and Nice in France are investing in something else: bollards. This is a bollard. New York announced it will spend $50 million to barricade public spaces, following a truck attack on a bike path in October 2017. And the city's plan includes installing 1,500 metal bollards.
People have to be able to get around, but they have to be safe at the same time. These new bollards will allow us to do that.
The families of the victims filed a motion to sue New York City and New York State for a combined $600 million for neglecting to protect the bike path, saying authorities should have known that this could have been an area for an attack.
The extreme liability issues we see in the US is not a culture we have in Denmark at all. Personally, I find it a bit ridiculous, this thing about blaming everyone else for your own security or lack of security. You can never be sure that accidents won't happen.
In Nice, France, they spent over $20 million reinforcing the promenade with bollards after an attack there in 2016.
I mean, these bollards are pretty expensive. They have to be fastened in such a way, and they have to live up to a number of requirements. And in America, actually, they even have to be taller because American cars and vehicles are taller and thereby more dominant.
After a terrorism attack, We talk a lot about not letting the terrorists win, about not being scared into a state of fear. Yet as cities all over the world barricade their busy public areas, some of the choices they make about the objects they install, they only serve to remind us of the threat.
It's a blatant reminder of the fragility of life and of the enormous costs put into this.